Welcome back. It's time for Opinion Court. You can get in touch with us. 22422 is our SMS line, or at Citizen TV Kenya, at Citizen TV News. If you're online, please use the hashtag Opinion Court, whether that's Facebook or Twitter. It allows us to track your conversation. We are discussing the events in Parliament today, and we have two parts to our conversation. The first, focusing on the politics surrounding the President's State of the Nation address. Joining me now, to my immediate right, ODM Chairman John Mbadi, one of the whistleblowers in the House today. On my left is Kimani Waishungwa, who is the Kikuyu Member of Parliament, and of course next to Mbadi is Edward Kisiangani, who is our resident political analyst. I want to start with you, Mbadi. Was it a CORD strategy or an ODM strategy to interrupt the President's speech?
I could call it both. Is nothing different from ODM and CORD. We are just in a coalition for reforms and democracy, and also we are Orange Democratic Movement, but we are partnering with other coalition partners in the CORD coalition, Wiper and Ford Kenya. So to disrupt the President's speech, I think first it should have been parliamentarians disrupting the President's speech, in my view, because the only institution in this country that has been given the responsibility, no any other, not even the Presidency, to protect the Constitution is Parliament. And yet at the same time you were not allowing the President to exercise what the Constitution has allowed him to do. Actually, what we were trying to do is to help him implement or fulfill the constitutional requirement constitutionally. You cannot fulfill a constitutional requirement unconstitutionally. How is it unconstitutional? It is unconstitutional because as a coalition we have been very tolerant, very patient with the President. For the past two State of the Nation addresses that he has given, he has completely missed the mark, because the Constitution is very categorical and candid on what the President is required to address. And you feel the President is supposed to address the state, the nation, as the head of state, not as the head of Jubilee government. But what the President has done previously is to address the state as the head of Jubilee administration. And he repeated the same. What's the proof of that? The proof of that is that the President is not supposed to give us the scorecard of what the Jubilee has been doing in terms of, I have been building roads which are not even factual. I will do one, I've done 1, 2, 3, Jubilee government has done. The President is supposed to address the nation and tell us, as it is today, how inclusive is the country in terms of appointments. He should address us and tell us in terms of democracy, what has he done to promote the democratic ideals and good governance. And he is supposed to address the nation and tell us that this is what I've done to improve transparency and accountability. But what the President does is you feel he gives a scorecard of Jubilee's, the Jubilee administration, and that's unconstitutional. We'll debate that a little later. So you held a meeting and decided to buy whistles and go into the House. Let me tell you this. First, we had agreed on a number of steps to take. And I want to tell you there is nothing wrong with buying whistles. You can pick it as the way you want. And by the way, you can express yourself the way you want. The Constitution, unless you are violent, which we were not. So the point is this. We had several steps. The first step was to raise issues with the Speaker before he left the chair. And by the way, I saw you ask Opio Wandayi that the President is supposed to be heard in silence. Yes. But by the time we were raising the point of order, the President had not taken to the floor. It was the Speaker of the National Assembly who mismanaged the entire process. I rose on a point of order, asking him to give me an opportunity to be heard before the President addresses us. And if he did that, we would have expressed our fears with the President that he has, for the past two addresses as he has given the nation, he has taken us for a ride. And that is what we wanted to tell our President, who was addressing this, the nation as the head of state, as the symbol of national unity. But he did not live to that. Kimani, what do you think?
I think John Mbadi is being very dishonest. And one, John Mbadi is a member of Parliament with a constitutional obligation to represent his people from his constituency. He has a responsibility to legislate and also oversight government. And that mandate is given to him by the Constitution. Just like for the presidency, it's an obligation that is required of him by Article 132 of our Constitution to come and address the nation on the state of the nation, on particular issues, on security, on our international relations, and on our national values. And I think it's very dishonest for John Mbadi to say that the president did not address those issues, because the president has delivered one of the longest speeches he has delivered in the last 3 years, and he has touched on each of those elements of what he was required to do. Let me say their action today as members of ODM, and he says it was indeed a court affair, and I truly doubt that, whether it was a court affair or indeed even an ODM affair. John Mbadi is a chairman ODM.
Yes.
His own Secretary General, the Honorable Ababu Namwamba, has spoken and criticized his actions today. I've seen his tweet saying there are times he does not agree with his party, and this is one such occasion that he does not agree with his party. This was something that was orchestrated by a small group of members of parliament, particularly from Homa Bay County, with the exception of Simba Arati, who decided to join the particular members from Homa Bay County. It was a senator for Homa Bay, John Mbadi is from the same county, Gladys Wanga from the same county, I think Millie Odhiambo is from the same county.
You're saying it was a Homa Bay affair? It
was actually a Homa Bay affair. Members again from one community, as I said, with the exception of the Honorable Simba Arati from here in Kawangware. And let me say, what they did is disorderly. It's against the Constitution, and it's very dishonest for John Mbadi to even sit here and pretend that he was trying to raise a point of order on something that's on record. But Mbadi's point
is also that he has the right to picket.
He has the right to picket. Yesterday was a parliamentary sitting, and John Mbadi was in the House from morning to afternoon. If John Mbadi, or indeed any member of the court coalition, or any member of parliament had an issue to raise on the issues that the president should address on the floor of the House today, he had an opportunity to rise on a point of order, but going to buy whistles, which incidentally John Mbadi dropped his as he was
and you
out.
Brought it to
I actually had the liberty to just carry it for him. I hope he'll not use it in the studio.
How about I keep it so that nobody blows it on my show?
We'll keep it on this side. But the point is, the point is what John Mbadi and his colleagues were trying to do was not just disorderly, it's very, very immature of people who purport to be leaders, elected by people, to come and represent them.
Well, whether it's mature or not, like he said, everyone has a right to pick it in the style that they want. I'm coming back to you, Mbadi. Prof, what do you think?
If I was President Uhuru Kenyatta today, I would quickly honor and give a head of state commendation to the MPs who, through bad manners, they still expressed a point. So I would not even care about the fact that they were ill-mannered. I would care about the message they were passing and think about the message more than the behavior. Of course, the behavior could have been bad. I have no sympathies for these MPs for being thrown out of parliament. We have always complained about
But you'd give them a commendation.
He gives them a commendation that they were able to tell him something is wrong in the town of Denmark, like it would be said by Shakespeare, so that he thinks about it, and they did it because there are several people in that parliament who think that things in this government are not going well, but they will never tell the president. So these guys were ill-mannered, they put it badly, but they still communicated the message. But in terms of being thrown out of parliament, I have no sympathies for them. They deserve it thoroughly, because this parliament has a lot of members who pass bad laws. They are the ones who made these standing orders, 111, 111, and then of course 24. They are the ones who pass these laws, and they pass these laws. The laws, people are saying this is unconstitutional. It is not unconstitutional, to express your opinion. So under the Constitution, what the MPs did not violate either Article 10 or 132 or 240.
But does it violate this?
But what it did violate was the same you know, standing orders they passed themselves.
They violated
yes, they violated. They passed unconstitutional standing orders, so they deserve thoroughly the punishment they were given. So in that case, therefore, they should go back and look at the laws. Just a minute, Anne.
No, you need to keep it brief because we need to wind up this part.
I'll put it briefly. They need to go back to Parliament and look at the laws which are unconstitutional, including the standing orders. So they thoroughly deserve it.
But the president talked, I don't know if you got this part because you must have left the House, by then, but he talked about accepting criticism and saying that criticism shouldn't be out of sport, which basically says that you do have we do need a strong opposition. We do need people to oppose and to say the points that you're saying, but that opportunity was lost when you were blowing whistles and placards. Do you think so? I don't think so. I think it was lost when the speaker refused to do what he is mandated to do. That is to listen to others first. We raised a point of order, and I insist, I'm the first one who pressed the intervention button, and I rose on a point of order. Actually, that is what made him to mention my name first, before even threw out P1I. So the disorderly started after the speaker failed to do what he was required to do by law and by the standing orders. Now, there is something that I think Ishungwa has said that I need to challenge. Two things. Number one, Ishungwa, I know, is very new in Parliament, so he's not aware that you cannot debate a matter that is not before Parliament. So you couldn't debate the State of the Nation's address yesterday, yet it was coming today. Two, he has talked about MPs coming from, I don't care whether they are coming from Homa Bay or whichever part of the country. The point is, you don't need a crowd to register disgust. You don't need a crowd to fight for human rights. You need individuals who are committed, however few they are. And you may think this is a Homa Bay affair, as you so wish. And I saw Simbarati. I saw TJ Kajwang is a Nairobi person. He's not a Homa Bay person. There was Opio one day. Home base, you also come from Kiambu, and maybe that is why you are supporting Uhuru. So we will come from somewhere. Yeah. So in my view, do you think Raila Odinga is sitting proud of your achievements in Parliament today? Did you convey the spirit of the opposition?
That is a question that you can ask Raila Odinga. I've not spoken with him.
What do you think of ODM supporters? Do you think they support
the ODM supporters are very happy. Let me tell you, our supporters are so frustrated. They feel the country is headed in the wrong way. And you can see it is not just ODM supporters. It is Kenyans. By the way, even the most faulty opinion polls come up, always register that Kenyans believe, majority of Kenyans believe that we are headed the wrong way. The president has been lying to the nation many times, and I don't think we can just sit in Parliament and allow the president to continue lying to us. And by the way,
let's open it up for final comments now, gentlemen. Yeah. Unfortunately, because we have to wrap up this first political part of our discussion, your final thoughts.
I think with all honesty, John Buddy has come out clearly. And of course, what I'm asking him, I know you are not to anticipate debate yesterday by raising issues that you feel are important in this country. That is what you're paid by your members of the public, those who elected you, to do for them in Parliament. But I think you've come out very well and clearly to tell Kenyans that what you are trying to do is to stop a president from executing his constitutional mandate, and also stop him from enumerating the achievements of his administration in the achievement of those national values, in the achievement of securing our nation, in talking about our international relations. And you intended to stop him from doing that. Because for anyone in the opposition, of course, you take it with a pinch of salt that this is a president who is able to articulately enumerate clear achievements of what his administration has been able to do. And I think talking about national cohesion, and I say this is as a final remark, and is something that someone has just asked me to ask John Buddy, that one of the things that they have complained a lot is fair allocation of resources, fair allotment of job opportunities in government. And someone told me to ask you, why is it that even when you bought whistles, you only allocated them to members of one particular community, from only one county? That is a question from a very concerned Kenyan who would want to hear what John Buddy has to say about that. And they've also exhibited what they would do. And the president, John Buddy, what you missed is glowing tribute that the president paid on you as an opposition and the alternative society in this country, and said we have one of the most vibrant alternative societies and opposition in Africa. That glowing tribute, you missed it. Because for you people in ODM, criticism, you are taking it as a sport. You missed the opportunity that the president was calling on you as members of the opposition to offer alternative solutions and look at yourselves as an alternative government. But I think what you have achieved, you have embarrassed your party leader, the Honorable Raila Odinga. I'm sure if Raila Odinga was in that house, he would not have done what you did. You have embarrassed him. You have proven to Kenyans that you can never be alternative government, and you will never offer alternative solutions.
Well, and I'll allow you, Mbadi, to make your final response.
First of all, the Kenyan who sent you, tell him he's very ignorant, and because he's not aware of what happened. He doesn't know how many people were given the whistle, so he cannot even comment like that. But anyway, that is his own assessment of the situation, and he is entitled to that. He has a democratic right. Now, regarding what I would do, first, I think my message goes to the president. I think he needs to consult people with good knowledge in law. His legal advisors are letting him down big time. And if he's lacking that personnel or human resource from the Jubilee side, he can still borrow from ODM. He is fond of borrowing a lot whenever he's stuck. He did borrow the security minister from us, or CS from us. He borrowed again minister for mining. So he can borrow legal experts from ODM to advise him that when he is coming to give the State of the Nation address, he's not the head of Jubilee government. He is the head of state, the symbol of national unity. And therefore, he is required by law to do things differently. He's not supposed to come and feed us on PR, yet he knows very well that the things that he talked about, immediately it spoke about corruption on 26th of March 2015, corruption escalated. In fact, we lost so much money. His friend, Bruce Odiambo, has stolen so much money, and he has not even spoken about. That is an allegation that is not proved. But nonetheless, stolen money. And NYS, there's a lot of money which was stolen. People around him, Farouk Kibet has not left office, and that is the office of the deputy president. His deputy, actually there's too much corruption in his deputy's office. He should clean his government. All right. That is ODM Chairman John Badi and Kimani Waishungo, Kikuyu MP. I thank you both gentlemen for your views. Professor Edward Kisengani is staying with us as we enter part 2 of our discussion. Experts Kwame Owino from the Institute of Economic Affairs and Bobby Mkangi, who's a governance expert, will be don't you pass that whistle around in my studio. Will be joining us after the break. Stay with Citizen Live at 9. Why have you denied it?